Another key issue that is so important for our vote, which is marriage and God's plan for marriage. So we're going to have a special guest on to talk to us about where marriage is at today politically.
Well, another one of our coalition partners is Matt Staver, who is the Dean of the Liberty Law Center at Liberty University, and he is the president of Liberty Counsel, and he is a great ally and friend and a staunch defender of marriage and religious liberty. And we're going to welcome Dean Staver. Matt, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here, Tony and Lila. Good to be with you.
Thank you for coming.
Well, let's just start. I'm going to jump right into this. This week, big news, the Supreme Court refusing to take up the issue of marriage. What happened? What does it mean?
Well, if you go back to June of 2013, the Supreme Court issued this 5-4 decision, and that really was the match that was igniting the gasoline that spread across the country. From that time to the present, a lot of these courts, state and federal, have struck down marriage laws. If you go back between 2004 and 2013, about 60 cases across the country were deciding marriage, and only about one or a very small fraction of those went against marriage. The one was California, and it was overturned by Prop 8. So from 2004 to 2013, about 60 plus cases, they all went the right way. Then the Supreme Court decided this case in 2013, and then the courts went the other way. And as marriage burned, and you had 5 cases before the Supreme Court, when they started this forest fire, they stepped to the side and watched marriage go up in smoke.
When the courts are making unjust, poor rulings on marriage, what can we do? What can, the folks at the local level in our communities, what can we do to make a difference despite what's happening in the courts?
Well, I think one of the things you have to do, obviously, is put the right people in office, and it begins with the President of the United States, who nominates the judges or justices. It begins with the people in the United States Senate who confirm those judges or justices. It begins also in your state level with your governor. Sometimes in different states, governors can appoint judges to the courts, and it also begins in the local level when you vote for judges in the local level, whether it's at the local level or the appellate court. Those are critical positions. We need to have people in those positions who understand the role as an umpire, not as a legislator.
We're hearing, and of course, people are trumpeting the Supreme Court's non-decision decision this week, saying that marriage is lost, it's going to be redefined. Those of you who support marriage, you just need to get with the program, get on the right side of history.
I think that's absolutely absurd. You can no more redefine the natural created order of marriage than you can redefine gravity. You may give it a different name, but it is what it is. Marriage is part of God's natural created order. It predates religion. It's not created by religion. It predates government. It's not created by government. Our constitutional amendments did not create marriage. It just simply affirmed the natural created order of marriage. This is a line, Tony and Lila, that we cannot change. This will be the cultural clash of worldviews of unprecedented proportion that we will experience. And the question is, what is the church going to do? This will be the test of the church. Will we stand or will we not?
What do you think is going to happen? I mean, I think a lot of folks watching what's happening in the courts and now at the district level and everything, there's a sense of discouragement sometimes about what's going to happen in the next coming years. And where do you see this fight going?
A couple of ways to address that. Number one, you see obviously the Benham brothers. That is an aggressive and tolerant agenda, and you're going to see more of that. We saw this, for example, in 2004 when Massachusetts went across the line and adopted same-sex marriage. Catholic charities were told they could no longer do adoptions unless they put children in homes with 2 moms and 2 dads, so they stopped adoptions. In New Jersey, when it came there, one of the Christian denominations lost property tax exemption because they wouldn't allow a same-sex union. In New Mexico, if you don't photograph same-sex weddings, you can't be a wedding photographer. In Oregon, if you don't do wedding cakes, you can't do wedding cakes for anybody if you don't do them for same-sex marriage. So this is an aggressive agenda. Everyone will be impacted by it. There's no question about it. But although it's unprecedented in American history, and I really think it's unprecedented in American history what we're facing, and this will be a clash of unprecedented proportions, it's not unprecedented in Judeo-Christian history. I mean, if you go back, for example, to Esther, you can't get any worse than that. You can't get any worse than the king issuing a decree. On March 7, we're going to kill all of you. You can't amend it. You can't plead for lenience. And yet God intervened. Why? Because His people prayed, and after they prayed, they acted. This is the time when we see this adversity, although it's unprecedented in our history, it's not unprecedented in God's history for the church to pray and act, and God will be glorified.
I think you're absolutely right. We never can. We in the political calculations, they never factor in God. But I want to even look at the political calculation here, because let's go back to 1973, Roe v. Wade. The court said they were going to solve this issue once and for all. 41 years later, it has not been resolved. I would predict that this is even more potent than the issue of life, in that it will not go away. It'll be a political issue for years to come.
And the reason why, as horrible as Roe versus Wade was and still is, the reason why this is different is this will force people to participate and affirm. You will not be able to just simply say, I don't agree, I'm going to sit on the sidelines, this is not for me, and I'm going to decry it. No, you will be forced, under penalty of law, to agree and to affirm this issue. And that's where the culture clash is going to come.
Matt Staver, thanks so much for your leadership on the issue of religious liberty in particular. I know Liberty Counsel, you guys have been out front defending Christians, and I know that unfortunately your services are probably going to be in more demand.
Unfortunately, they will, but you know, we're living at very unique times, and religious liberty is so precious to us. And we see our brothers and sisters losing their lives, being beheaded across the world, but they're standing strong for Christ, and God just is asking the church to stand up and be the church. So these are exciting times in which to live.
All right.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.